Hello, everyone, and welcome to number 9 Talk with my guest, Alex Hurst. Welcome, Alex. Just going to run my VT, mate. Yep, I think that worked out pretty well. Right. Welcome, Alex. How are you?
I'm good, thanks, Dom. Pleased to be here. Good to chat.
Yeah. So it's always good to have a bit of a chat, mate. I mean, at the moment we're in the pandemic. Not it's good to connect with people and to make sure we're all together in this, and to make sure people's voices are heard as well. Just to talk about with you with the trust. At the moment, you're running a promotion on a documentary video with the trust. If you want to give that a plug, mate.
Yeah, we're working on a big project for the trust. Hopefully, due to launch in April. And one of the things we want to do is kind of tell the story about the journey of Newcastle United supporters, which is probably unique. And I know we are biased, me and you and people watching probably, but I think there's a lot of loyal football fans up and down the country. A lot of great clubs, great fans. But I think what makes Newcastle United fans unique is that lack of success and the fact that's never affected the support of the team. And what we want to do is try and tell the story of the fan base in a film, not just for Newcastle fans based in the Northeast, who obviously are a large percentage of the fan base, but we'll have this global fan base as well. We'd really like to tell their story. So I invited, just through Twitter really, people to get in touch and say, would you like to be part of a video? We've got some questions for you to answer. And 260 people and counting got in touch through DM with me on Twitter. My DMs are open. To say, yeah, I would love to do it. So that's great. And it's just an example of what this fan base is like, really, isn't it? There's so much enthusiasm and so much passion to do stuff for other people and for the good of the trust in this case, or whatever it is. You've seen loads of them from various different groups over the past, particularly since the pandemic began, but before that as well. So yeah, we love it. We love the fact that we'll have this kind of committed fan base that is up for doing anything to help.
Yeah, I think I mean, obviously we're biased, but I think our fan base is just excellent. I mean, okay, we do get the odd, person who's against a lot of things that us as fans say, but everyone's entitled to their opinion. We don't say to you, don't voice your opinion. You're allowed that opinion, but sometimes people go a bit too far. Going on to that as well, talking about mental health, be a game changer, which has also been great for the club. And I mean, as I mentioned to you before the show, we've been through this pandemic, and we're all going through lockdown. It is affecting a lot of people, unfortunately, and what I would say to everyone is please reach out to anyone. If you need to chat, you need some advice or you need help on a certain subject, reach out. You're not alone in this. And what would you say about that, Alex?
No, it's great, isn't it? That there's that resource there for supporters. It's great to see the foundation doing something like that, and working with people like yourselves and other fan channels to try and get the message out there. That in a very difficult time for everybody, I don't think there isn't anyone who isn't untouched by what's going on at the minute. And we've been put in a set of circumstances as people that no one would have envisaged even this time last year. So yeah, I just think the fact that there is that resource there, and the fact that something like the foundation, which is connected to the football club, is offering that service, for fans, and letting them know there is an avenue to help them if possible. You can only stand back and applaud.
Yeah, of course, mate. So as we've both said just there, please reach out. That there is help out there. Also, your recent with True Faith. you're a bit on the podcast with the True Faith, bringing quite a few good pods there as well, and also your recent uh, True Faith magazine, which you can buy for £2.50, I believe, which is a good price, and you get good content as well.
Yeah, thanks. I mean, it's written by fans for fans. That there's a lot of good fan content out there. Particularly YouTube channels, podcasts. But where the only fanzine still going, which is a shame because there've been some excellent ones. I mean, Newcastle United was probably had one of the strongest fanzine scenes in the country. But yeah, £2.50 plus postage. It's just Newcastle fans. If there's anyone watching who wants to feature in it, you're more than welcome. It's an open editorial. We don't we don't editorialize and say, you can't have this opinion or that opinion. If you want to write in and tell us Steve Bruce is the best thing since sliced bread, you can. We might write an article after that suggesting why you might be mistaken. But that's the whole idea of doing what we do, is to give fans a voice, because there's an excellent football media surrounding Newcastle United, with the local journalists and the local media, who do a fantastic job and a hard job of covering the club. But it's also important that normal supporters have their voice as well, because often, who knows football clubs better than anyone? It tends to be supporters, does it not? So, yeah, the podcasts are great. We're lucky that we'll have a big listenership, but it's taken us a long time to get there. And we're lucky that people are still buying the fanzine. You can buy it online. It's £2.50 plus postage, or you can buy it at Centrail, which is at Central Station in Newcastle. Pick up some fine beers, ales, and lagers in there as well while you're there. So you're onto a winner, aren't you?
Yeah, I think we'll slow down a bit. That could be that. I apologise. That could be my problem at this end. Also, at the moment, we have the prize draw with the foundation. Um, to win Alan Shearer's match-worn boots from his 250th goal in a black and white shirt, which is brilliant. We know how much of a legend he is. He's also given his shirt, his armband as well, which I think is a great price to go for. I believe it's £10 a ticket. It runs to the 23rd. So anyone who's listening, or everyone who's listening, please, give to a good cause. I believe it costs them 250,000 to run the foundation. For the things that they do. Just to give it away to people who need it. And at the moment, a lot of people are struggling for cash. People out of work, people furloughed. People don't really have that much money at the moment, and for Alan to do that for, I mean, obviously his own foundation, but to do that and to give such a momentous, memory away to someone who's going to win it, it is excellent. What would be your thoughts on that, Alex?
No, it's great. It's great to see Shearer engaging, isn't it? Because he does so much national stuff for national media, and he's very good at it. And we all love watching him talk or reading the stuff he does. It's been really good to see him on certain fan channels and podcasts. It's been great, and I mean, I think they've already raised over £100,000, which is just sensational. Considering there's a bit of time to go as well. I've got a couple of tickets, so I've got my fingers crossed that I come out as the lucky winner. But yeah, I would definitely recommend anyone watching getting involved in that. And it's for the Alan Shearer Foundation, which does a lot of great things in the Northeast as well. So it's win-win, isn't it? So yeah, it's a bit of good news amongst all the doom and gloom.
Yeah, the doom and gloom of the club. Yes, yeah. At the moment, we can't say we're doing well anything at all, really. We've had a couple of wins in there, and we're actually really good performances against Everton, Southampton. We went down to 9 men against Southampton, still kind of came up with a win. I mean, it was squeaky bum time, but we still scraped through. Everton was a much improved performance, and also the game before, which was Leeds. It's it was a vastly improved second half, but that first half really did us in. And at the moment we're hovering in 17th, but we've got a few difficult fixtures ahead of us, and fixtures what the clubs below us have got as well. You look at Fulham at the moment; they could catch us up and be only 1 point behind us, which is a worrying time.
Well, they're winning 1-0 as we chat, Dom. So
Yeah.
they definitely could get close. I mean, they play tonight and they play before we play on Sunday against Manchester United. So that gap could be down to 1 point, although we'll have a game in hand. But the game in hand will be Manchester United. It's dire, isn't it? I think you're spot on to talk about those improvements. But the issue that we have is that we've been so bad for so long that it just seems to take one game or one bad performance and everyone kind of worries again because, the result against Everton, brilliant performance and result. The problem is Everton keep losing at home, so it takes the shine off a little bit. Southampton, unbelievable to win with 9 men, but Southampton now lost 6 Premier League games in a row. So we're kind of beating teams that you'd actually, in hindsight, expect us to beat. But, then we go to Chelsea and do that, and it makes it look like those performances and results were a blip, and we're now back to normal service, which is this kind of awful passiveness that if it was a boxing match, it would be stopped because the other teams are so dominant. And I mean, what do you think? Do you think we'll stay up? Do you think we'll go down?
Well, at the moment, I think we're in Steve Bruce's hands, really. But unfortunately, you look and you think, he's done an okay job. I mean, he kept us up last year. Um, as well, and it's just we're just what's the word? I've lost the word I was looking for. We're just existing, really, at the moment. But that's the way Ashley wants it. He has no ambition to do any more with the club, unfortunately. So what I would say is it will be close. I think it will be close, but I think we will ultimately stay up. I mean, we'll have a bad run of games coming up. Man U, Arsenal. Uh, it's the big teams to come up against. So we're not going to pick up many points this next few weeks, but things tend to level things out. Um, so you look at you know the next game, which is Manchester United. What would be your thoughts on that? We would see what's his name, Hendrick return. Do you think?
Hope not. Um, Hope not. And it's a tough one, isn't it? Because we were so bad against Chelsea. You'd assume he'll make changes, but I mean, we talk about Hendrick. What about the two Longstaff brothers? Can't get a game. Why can't they get a game ahead of Hendrick? It doesn't make any sense. In particular, and Sean's had a difficult season. Although I think he probably gets a little bit of unfair criticism. Matty didn't play all season. Asked to come in against Liverpool, Man City, and Leicester, the 3 best teams in the league probably, and then dropped again. So very, very bizarre. I really worry about the Man United game. If Fulham do hold on tonight and then they beat Sheffield United, I mean, you'd expect Fulham to beat Sheffield United, wouldn't you? With Fulham's form and the way Sheffield United have been this season, even though they gave us a hiding, really, despite the scoreline. But I'm really worried about it, mate. It's one of those things that people we have this experience, don't we, as Newcastle fans, in terms of the relegations in 2016 and 2009. You can look at the fixture and look at the table and think, oh, we've got this game here, we'll pick up this game here. But when you lose lots of football matches as a team, it's not just a switch you can flick on and off. If you're rubbish and you're not winning games, it catches up with you. And I don't think it would be unfair to say a lot of Newcastle fans have been expecting this for a while, because performances haven't matched results. We picked up results when we didn't necessarily deserve to, and you can only do that for so long in the Premier League. Eventually, you will get found out, and I think we've been found out.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I mean, you just said there, 2016 and 2009. Do you see similarities in those seasons, or is it just a strange season? Obviously, without fans in there, you don't have your 12th man as well, do you?
Yeah, spot on. I think if anything, we're maybe worse as a side than we were in those seasons. I think in those seasons, I think they were very similar to each other. We threw away a lot of leads. We played well in games and didn't manage to win. Now we don't even play well. I mean, maybe you could argue, like you correctly said, that second half Leeds performance, the game against Palace, they are disastrous results. You know, Steve Bruce, after both of those games, coming out and talking about positives. If you can't beat the teams in the bottom half of the Premier League at home, who can you beat? So, you know, I think this would be the worst of them all because the position the team got themselves into, what was it, 21 points or something like that after 13 games or something. To get relegated from there would be a real abdication of responsibility from the players as well. And I may be guilty of it, of always hammering Bruce. The players have got to take some responsibility. But ultimately, I can't with any confidence go into any game against any team, even Sheffield United, and say we're going to beat these today, because we've just shown time and time again that even when we do pick up wins, we actually do it against the run of play, or we have less shots or less possession. And if you're going to have less possession and less shots than every single team in the league and every single game, even the worst teams, you're going to lose football matches. So I'm really concerned for us. I don't know about you.
Yeah. As I said before, I think the problem is we've got, like, I think the team looks just not exhausted, but they look just disinterested sometimes as well. You look at, you know, the likes of St. Max, who can turn it on like that and get us up the field. But unfortunately, I've seen a lot of St. Max and Miggy recently. They just carry the ball up the field and ultimately get dispossessed. And I think we're holding on to the ball too long. You know, to get past these teams, you know, teams like Chelsea and teams like Man U and teams like Arsenal, you've got to pop that ball. You've got to move the ball, so you know they're always chasing as well. I mean, they did it against us. They were popping the ball about, and we were just chasing them around the field. And ultimately, we left gaps, and you know we get down to being beaten. But at the moment, I don't see. I can see it's getting forward, but there's just been no outlay of the ball at all. So, what would be your thoughts on the team at the moment? Are they miscoached, or are they just, you know, as people keep telling us, that the championship players, and we've had the same players for almost 3 years now. So, what would be your take on the whole team?
I don't think it's a championship team. I think there's a lot of players in there who've been given new contracts since we came up, which would suggest that the people who run the club think they're Premier League players. We have seen them over the past 3 seasons put in performances against sides, beat sides, Manchester United, Manchester City, Arsenal, even Chelsea a couple of years ago. So I think these players have shown that they're better than the Championship. And if you know, compare us to a team like Leeds. Leeds made some big money signings in the summer, but the majority of Leeds' squad is still the team that was playing in the Championship. You look at Fulham's team, majority of the players in Fulham's team were playing the Championship last season. Well, we finished 13th, 13th and 10th with a lot of these players. Add in Alan St. Maximan, add in Ryan Fraser, or Callum Wilson. They're really good footballers. You have to look at the manager, don't you? You have to look at an overall career win rate of 28%. What's his win rate at the moment with Newcastle this season? 28%. He is performing exactly to his ability. The problem for us is his ability isn't good enough often to stay in the Premier League. The average position, I think, he's finishing the Premier League is 16th and 17th. And if you're going to hang around in 16th and 17th all season, doesn't take much to slip into 18th place. So Steve Bruce is giving us what Steve Bruce is. And as annoyed as I get at him, you have to look at the people who appointed him in the first place, because that was a massive mistake. Now, we all make mistakes in our lives, in our jobs, whatever. Fair enough, we'll make mistakes. But to then not rectify that mistake, that's an abdication of responsibility. And that's the thing which is killing the club ultimately. I mean, you mentioned, obviously, it is a strange season, and you're spot on, because we're not in grounds. I think if we were in grounds, Steve Bruce would be gone already, because it would be so toxic. It would be, you know, I have to think back to 2016 and Steve McLaren. people talk about Newcastle and Lee Charnley sacked Steve McLaren. Newcastle fans sacked Steve McLaren against Bournemouth. There's no way he could come back. The whole stadium singing, "You're getting sacked in the morning." Nah, you cannot walk into a dressing room after that and retain the respect of the players. Now, Lee Charnley or Mike Ashley, whoever it is, or Justin Barnes, they don't have that luxury of the fans doing their job for them. So they have to make the decision. And the fact that they haven't is putting the club in serious danger of another ruinous relegation. I don't know what you think, but I don't think we'd come back from this one like we have the last two.
No, I mean, you go back to McLaren there as well. It was, how many games did Benitez have? It was something like 10 or 11 games to help the club and help the club stay up. And unfortunately, when he came in, we got beat. I think his first game was Leicester, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was, yeah.
And we lost 1-0, wasn't it? I think.
Yeah, we did. I was there.
Yeah. So if you're going to make changes, you've got to make them sooner rather than later, because obviously it's going to go. Well, he's going to panic and go, right, you're sacked, but you've only got like 6 games to save the club, and no matter how good a coach is and how good a manager is, you need to have time to bed in your ideal and your formation and who you're going to play where and how you're going to do it, and you need that time to bed in with training and everything on that side of things. And it is a worry if you do leave it too late. But with Steve Bruce, I think he's got his stay of execution, unfortunately, due to at the moment the cushion. But I hope that Mike Ashley looks at it now and thinks I've got to only give him maybe 2 games before I think, look, you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing and keeping us up here. So we go on to the takeover at the moment. I don't know what's going on. I don't think anyone does, honestly. But there has been stuff like with the aeroplanes in the air. Everyone's talking, on the radars and talking about how the Rubens are in. Is it Nassau at the minute as well on a yacht? So you've also got the BN Sports could be, or as far as I know, is back in Saudi Arabia at the moment. I don't know what would be your thoughts on the whole bitty news that we're getting at the moment.
Yeah, I understand why people look for these things, because everyone's so desperate, one, to be rid of Mike Ashley, and 2, to have owners who seem to understand the football club and have a proper strategic vision for its growth and the region's growth. I ignore that kind of stuff because I just feel it's mentally draining, isn't it? How long have we been doing this now? A year? Was it last January when? Yeah, and then in April it seemed like it was confirmation it was with the Premier League. Every fan's different, and that's fair enough. But I really struggle to just, how many times can you have your hopes dashed? So I just think if it happens, brilliant. Let's see it happen. I get it, and we're pretty unique as a fan base, aren't we, with the playing spot and all of that kind of stuff. And the lads and lasses who do that are just trying to help people, aren't they? They're just trying to look for some positivity. But personally, I just think it's a bit surreal. If me and you were sat here this time last year talking about planes in Nassau, you would just be like, what's going on? But no, that's just the reality, isn't it? And that is Mike Ashley's ownership. That's what he's put fans toward, because they're so desperate to be rid of him.
Yeah, totally. I mean, given the takeover, it's all looking quite positive, with it being quiet as well, which is what we needed in the first place. We didn't need all this great media circus that was made of it as well, unfortunately. But given the takeover goes through, where would you feel that they would have to improve first? Would it be players? Would it be the training ground, which obviously needs its upgrading as well, and parts of St James's Park needs a bit of upgrading or a bit of tender care as well. Where would you say that would have to start?
Or I think they'd have to start with the manager. That would be the first port of call, because there are good players there, like we've discussed. Like you've said, there is the semblance of a decent, maybe top half Premier League side, maybe with a superior manager. So if I was them on day one, I'd be saying, thanks, Steve, we appreciate it. Here's £1,000,000. Get yourself away and bring in someone like Rafa Benitez or any host of names that are linked with the job. But you are right in that there are a lot of areas of the club that need a lot of attention. From St James's Park, which looks almost identical to as it looked back in 2001 when they did the extension. The training ground, I was lucky enough to have a few tours of the training ground from Rafa Benitez, and it really lags behind. It lags behind some League One clubs, never mind Premier League clubs. And while I think it was Lee Charnley said they felt like they'd never lost out on a player because of the state of the training ground. Well, yeah, that statement there is everything wrong with Newcastle United now. That he's not even pretending like it's a positive for the club. Everything the club does should be positive, and it should be a representation of their beliefs and their strategy as a football club. But because they don't have any belief or any strategy, everything is done on the cheap. Everything is done with a minimum of effort. And that, what have we just been talking about, the players and how they looked against Chelsea? It all trickles down, doesn't it? Right from the top to the players, and it trickles down to the fans who are looking for planes in Nassau and stuff like that. And yeah, I think it's a great question. And I'm sure they'll have their hands full. I think day one of the takeover, they'd probably just have to, I don't know, like get put some tweets out asking people to go to work and stay off the drink, because there would be such celebrations. The whole region would stop, wouldn't it? It would just be party time, which is why everyone got so excited, didn't they? Myself included.
Yeah. I mean, if you look at the wealth, at the start of all this, it was something like 260 billion or something like that. But now you're looking at something like, after this whole year and their investments, they're looking at something like 600 and odd billion at the moment. So they're well on the way to a trillion pound, well, trillion whatever dollars in investments as well. So that's a lot of money to be playing with. Obviously, Newcastle's not going to see all of that, obviously, but it's nice to know that they could literally put their hands in the pockets and go, well, there you go, you need that doing, so there you go, you can get a new training ground, you can extend St James's, or we can just go and buy a new ground. A lot of people who would be against the leaving of St James's, because obviously it has been our talisman for such a long time. And what would be your thoughts on the ground? Obviously for the start, I don't see a new ground being built. Maybe if they did take over, it would be about five years, I reckon, before they even start thinking about building a new ground. So the only thing is, would they upgrade St James's? Would that be their go-to, do you think, or would you welcome even the new ground as well?
Very controversial topic, isn't it? There's a lot of fans feel very attached to St James's Park. I'm probably of the opinion that St James's Park, for a successful, well-run Newcastle United, would be nowhere near big enough. And I think that they should definitely look in to expand the St James's Park. I'm not an expert on the subject. I think there's people say both sides, don't know, that you couldn't do anything or it would be very expensive. You obviously have the land at Strawberry Place, which was sold away from the club for personal profit for Mike Ashley. So there's that issue there. Some people have talked about maybe where Newcastle Arena is, and that kind of undeveloped land around there would be great. But you're leaving the city centre a little. It's still the city of Newcastle, but you are, right now we're in the heart of the city, whereas you're leaving it a little bit there. I think it would be a nice problem to have, because if you need a ground extension, you're doing well on the pitch. We showed in the Championship that the club, even in the Championship, could attract 52,000. So it's a nice problem to have. I don't know, what do you think about it, mate?
Well, I wouldn't be against a new ground. Obviously, we've had St James's for a long, long time. And it would be sad to see it go, of course. It's been the heartbeat of the city. But it just depends on where would they put it, and where. I mean, I think they're on about putting it on the back in the Leazes Park for the one with, was it Sir John Hall that drew up before they moved out? So I think they're on about putting it on Leazes, which would be behind St James's itself. So I wouldn't be against that. I mean, obviously, it'd still be around the same area. It'd still be the heartbeat, the city centre. It just depends on where they would move it to. But yeah, I wouldn't be against it. But obviously, I would say it'd be very, very sad to to see it go. Um, but you could also say, they could still build the ground and use St James's as a training ground. Like with City, the way they have theirs. I mean, they have their ground, and then so many different pitches that are on the outside of it, and also, it's got a mini stadium as well, isn't it, around there? So I suppose they could do that, but yeah, like I said, I'll be sad to see it go. What I'm going to do now, mate, just before we carry on, just a shout out to my sponsors for my channel this month, which is NUFC Hotspots, make your pin badges for the tune. Anyone, into their pin badges, give them a look. They've come out with some good stuff recently. And Bohea Bubble Hats makes the bubble hats for Newcastle, Chelsea, Liverpool, Rangers, Celtic. They're all good quality. I've seen some of the ones that they've brought out, and they are great quality hats. Thanks, guys. Just to go on to, at the moment, we have Joe Linton. Now, a 40 million pound or 45 million pounds, depending on how you would see him, or which report you would believe. At the moment, he's our number 9. He's not done anything really. I mean, he's a big strapping lad, but he gets taken down. He gets knocked off the ball very easily. That should not be happening. What would you think on Joe Linton? I mean, a lot of people probably say the same thing, but what would be your thoughts?
I think he's rubbish. I don't think he'll ever be good enough for the Premier League, and I wish it wasn't so. I wish there was some player that needs game time, but what did I see him play 30, 40 times live? Rubbish. Please seen him since in lockdown. Rubbish. You hit the nail on the head there with what he can't do, but what can he do? I don't know. I think they signed him on potential. I think that potential was massively exaggerated, and I think he'll never be a player in the Premier League, in my opinion. I used to think that maybe in a better team he would thrive. Maybe if he played for Wolves but that now I don't even think that. I just think if he cost £5 million, he would be nowhere near the team that have binned him already. I think they're going to have to try and sell him. And if they got 10 million, 15 million from a Bundesliga club, that would represent a fabulous return on what is a player who has been played all over the place by Steve Bruce. But at the same time, I sympathise with Bruce because he's trying to get something out of him. I think he played up front with Wilson against Palace and against Burnley, and he was better, much better, but he was still average. I feel we'll have a tendency when he gives us a 5 out of 10 performance to almost be delighted with that because he's so bad normally. He really represents everything wrong with the club. An arrogant signing. Mike Ashley signed him. What's all that about? Rafa Benitez told them he wasn't worth anywhere near that money. One of the I'll say it now. I don't know if you agree. The worst ever transfer in Newcastle history.
Well, there has been humdingers, unfortunately. We look, I think Marcelino was one bad one, and there was also Boom Song as well. They were all, but they were bought with not a lot of cash really. But when you look at this, the worst signing is also our most expensive signing as well, which makes it even worse in my eyes. Yeah. But unfortunately, we're going to be losing Callum Wilson for, I think it's up to 8 weeks. I think with a hamstring. At the moment, it's been mooted that we could sign. What's his name? Sturridge. but I don't think we've got space. I mean, I've been told that he could be still signed with special dispense from the Premier League. So, what would be your thoughts on the Sturridge deal?
Very, very desperate, really, really good player once upon a time, but you're looking back to maybe 2014, 2015 when he was any good. Hardly played since then. Went to West Brom 2018, early 2018. Didn't help them. Gets injured. Doesn't play. We'll have strikers at the club. We'll have Dwight Gale. We'll have Andy Carroll. I don't think they've both got their problems as Premier League strikers, but I don't think that what we're missing is Daniel Sturridge right now. And I think it probably suggests to me, if they are seriously looking at them, that they know that Steve Bruce is the issue. And I think Steve Bruce is up there with any manager in the league for a number of changes he's made to his side this season. He just chops and changes players for fun because it's almost like he needs a reaction every other game or every game to a performance. And I just think, do you want to half fit Daniel Sturridge? Is he going to keep you in the Premier League? I can't say it. I mean, Callum Wilson has been brilliant for us, brilliant, but he's only got 6 goals from open play in 22 Premier League games, which it's good record for us. The 4 penalties boosted a bit. I think he's brilliant. I love Wilson, but we'll create so little. What is it that they want Daniel Sturridge to do if there's no chances for him?
Yeah, it may be all pie in the sky. Fortunately, for some fans, I was always I wouldn't say a big fan of Sturridge, but he is a good player. But yeah, he is very injury prone recently, and last time he was in the Premier League didn't do much because obviously he was injured again. So yeah. It depends on what they can thrash out and what we can get. But I don't see it happening because, as far as I know, we've got a full quota of players, and I don't think we can chop and change at this later date. So yeah, what I'm going to do, mate, just to finish off there, because I was only going to do a short one today, mate, because I did a long one in the last few days and my head's fried. So, yeah, just to give you a shout out again for your true faith and where to find you on social media, mate.
Yeah, we're at TFNUFC, True Faith NUFC. It stands for. We've just started on YouTube, like yourself. We'll have to get you on a show as well if you're up for it. And yeah, we're just like you and other people are just normal Newcastle United fans. Everyone's got an opinion, don't they? And we love the conversation. So, if you're a Newcastle fan, we're for you. And we've been doing the podcast now since 2014. And yeah, people keep listening to it, so we'll keep doing it.
Yep, great stuff. And also to everyone who wasn't in earlier, it's the latest issue of the True Faith magazine, £2.50 from from your local news shop, maybe, and also the train station, you said?
Yeah, that's right. And Haymarket, M&M News at Haymarket, you can get a copy there as well. Best places online, though. I will post it to you myself. Doesn't matter where you are in the world, we'll post worldwide.
Brilliant, mate. Well, thanks very much for coming on. I'll have to get you on again when my head's not as fried. So, thanks very much for coming on again, and we'll see you anon.
Thanks, mate.
Cheers, mate. Thanks.